Get up out of that wilderness. That's not where you're supposed to be living. Listen, how you feeling? You know, often I speak on this program about holistic living. It's about every aspect of life, you know, whether it's education, whether it's health, and, not breaking the law anymore. All the things that stop doing drugs, stop drinking alcohol, and getting armed legally, you know, all that stuff holistically, you know. So we are well. That is the key to being totally well in life. Taking yourself out of the reach even of racism, out of the justice system. I told my daughter that once. I said, you know, me and your mom, we were able to take you out of the reach of racism. And she was like, what? She didn't want to buy that. But I had to explain it to her. See, we get confused, prejudice and racism, or a racist person versus the institution of racism, okay? And so there's an institute. If somebody's racist, they think they're better than me, or they don't like me, they're prejudiced, and they're all this kind of, I don't care. As long as you can't harm me, I don't care what you think about me. I was sharing with this white lady recently. I said, did you know that black people don't like white people more than white people don't like black people? It kind of took her off a little bit, but come on. What do you think? How would you feel, given the history of this nation, if the situation was reversed? Would you really be in love with your oppressors? Even if your oppressors hated you, wouldn't you hate them a little bit more? Think about it. And so it's not the individual racist or a prejudiced person. It's the institutions that have been created that oppress black people that are our enemy, okay? Like the justice system, without a doubt, the police system, law enforcement, even housing in some areas. And even I want to suggest even the welfare system, in that it keeps an individual comfortable and not quite having enough. Now it's a statistical fact that there are more white people on welfare than there are black people, but still there's a lot more white people, so per capita more black people are being affected in that way. And before you start tripping out, Medicare, Social Security, that's welfare too. For real, it is. I said that to somebody recently, and they were telling me, you know, no, my parents put into the welfare system. I'm putting into the Social Security system, so it's like an account there. I said, no, it's not. Social Security is not an account that you've been putting into. You've been paying money to take care of the old people. And hopefully, when you get their age, there'll be somebody else to put money in to take care of you. But there's no account. You're not putting into like a big pot that you're going to collect from later. You're just simply paying for the people. So Social Security, Medicare, that's all welfare as well, okay? That being said, we need to be, so that is also an institution of racism. Not in the same way as the justice system and law enforcement, but simply in a way that will placate a people into being satisfied, into living far beneath their potential. And that right there is going to lead me to the next part of holistic living. Holistic living are not just those areas for your body and for your health. Your finances are part of that equation as well. The holistic living equation that is all about you. Okay? And so we find ourselves all of our lives living so far beneath our means while other people are making so much money hand over foot. I'm telling you. And we need to be able to get in on that. But how can we? The key is when you begin to recognize your lifestyle, and even the education and the sobriety and all that stuff, you're going to be setting yourself up to be in a better place financially. Because you're not going to be spending money on booze, you're not going to be spending money on alcohol or weed or drugs or going out and all that. You're going to be saving up more money. What are you going to do with that money? Not much, I guess. Nowadays it's kind of hard to buy property with the little bit of money we can save up. But I'm just suggesting that as we begin to get ourselves together, ideas will begin to flow. Forget this ain't working. It's like too far. People are too far gone. Okay. And so it might 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We might be in a position today that we have kind of messed ourselves up to the point where we just can't come out. But what we can do is give our children the opportunity to recognize that what we have done isn't quite right. We kind of jacked ourselves up, but they don't have to be, okay? I look at folks today, I mean, that have made so much money, especially many times people who don't look like us. And they're able to pass that money down generationally to their children and to their children's children. We, on the other hand, are not like that. I have a buddy of mine that I work with, and I was telling him, I'm trying to not spend so much money. I'm trying to do some things. He says, oh, come on, you need to just spend all your money. I don't understand that. Where'd that come from? No, I'm not trying to do that. We need to pass our money down to our kids, but oftentimes we've made decisions so that we don't have anything to pass on down to them. As a matter of fact, when they try to get credit, they recognize we use their Social Security number, and they can't even get any credit, man. So we have to turn this thing around. It may be too late for us, but it's not too late for our children. So begin to share with your children, financial insights, like how to balance a checkbook, how to make sure you have more money coming in than you have going out. And if you have to use yourself as the example of what not to be, do it. Because you want better for your children, right? And so we need to be encouraging our children to go to college, encouraging them from the time they're in elementary school. You're going to college. Where you want to go to college? You know how you can talk a kid into believing anything. Talk these kids into believing they're going to college. Talk these kids into believing they're smart. You keep telling your kid you're smart, you're smart, you're smart, they're going to believe it. And they're going to be smart because they are smart. They're going to believe you, okay? But see, that's going to take a commitment from us as well to begin living a life before them, the type of lifestyle we want them to embrace. Now, as many of you know, when Obama became president, I saw this guy who was younger than me, Harvard graduate, Harvard law professor. He had been a senator in Chicago. Now he's president of the United States. This guy was younger than me with all that education, and I had a high school diploma. So I decided that November, when he was elected, that the next quarter, which was January, I'm going to school just to get an associate degree. I stuck with it, got my bachelor's degree, stuck with it, earned my MBA. Now, wow, big deal, right? It was a big deal. And the big deal was that when I started that, when Obama became president, my daughter was 3 years old. So for the next 10 years, all my daughter saw me doing every day was studying. I missed one quarter, a half of a quarter of school in 10 years. So from her age 3 to age 13, all she saw was me attending school. That impressed something upon her, the importance of school. I didn't have to tell her. All she saw, let me tell you a funny little story. One of the things that had kept me from really going to college was my fear of math. I mean, upper level math, right? And so, but this program, but when Obama became president, man, I was just so inspired. I had to go. But even in that list of courses I had to take to get the associate degree, there was a college algebra course in that. And I was like, man, so what I did was I just ignored it. I wasn't even thinking about it. I took all the classes. Finally, the day of reckoning came, man. I had to take that college algebra class. And so what I did was I went to the college, and they have these, I don't want to call them remedial courses, but they have all these courses to help get you up to speed to take the course at the course level that you're able to function in. And so they'd have a test, a placement test, to let you know where in math you needed to start in order to continue your education. But for me, pride, I was so embarrassed. I didn't want to take that test. I just started from the first math class, 1 + 1, no joke. I just stuck in there. I took every single remedial math class all the way up to advanced algebra and then college algebra. Okay? But so I'm ready. So I'm taking this college algebra class, man. I got this instructor. I think he's a high school teacher somewhere in Oakwood. He just enjoyed listening to himself speak, and I wouldn't get anything out of it, man. And I was like, I can't pass this class. So I decided just to hang it up. So I came home that day. I think my daughter was about 6 or 7 or something like that. And I came into the bedroom. My wife and daughter were on the bed. They were reading something, playing around, laughing, just having fun. And I said, I want to talk to you guys about something. And I said, I've been in school all this time, and it was a good run, but I think I'm going to just stop. I'm going to quit. And man, right when I said that, I noticed my daughter, her eyes started tearing up. She was starting to cry. I didn't realize that she had been watching me like that. I didn't realize she was so proud of me, watching me go to school. And at that moment, I recognized I was at a precipice of, what am I going to do? What impact, what I choose right now is going to have an impact on my daughter, on her attitude toward education. And so quickly I said, I'm just joking. I'm just playing. I'm not going to quit. But when I stayed out, I did get out of that class, withdrew from that class that half a quarter. And the next quarter I took that class again. I had another instructor. I did well and I passed. But our children are watching us. And they're taking cues from us. And so it doesn't matter that I started school when I was 50 and I graduated when I was 60. My daughter was 13 when I graduated. Her life right now, she's going to school in HBCU. She's going to be a sophomore this coming season, and her plan is to be an attorney. So I wonder if I had just quit that class when she was staring at me that day, when she was tearing up. Where she'd be right now today. I don't know. All I know is it may be too late for us, but it's not too late for us to be the example. Okay. And so the bigger example, the example can't just stop at education, because we know, I know, there are many people that graduate from college that just don't make it. It just doesn't work out for them. Because, as I've seen, what I see in college, because I have my MBA now, and it took me 10 years, so I had a lot of time to think about this and contemplate what's going on. What I realized was that as my education was growing, it was like my worldview was expanding, and I was understanding more, and I was seeing things I never grasped before, Now, so far, to date, I've written 23 books. For real. I started a business. I started another business that has been very successful. My wife is running it, but I handed it to her. Because it was my idea, but I knew I couldn't do it. But I still saw it because my worldview had expanded. The moment the opportunity was there. So there are a few things like that. And just understanding the concept of business, although I'm not really too thrilled with the idea of business. I have an MBA. If I known that I was going to stay in school for 10 years, I would have taken something fun like in science or biology, things that I like, but this is what you got. So I got an MBA and I have some insight in that. So the whole business aspect of it is very important in order for us to create cash. There's this book out by a guy named Robert Kiyosaki. He's been around for a while, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he talks about the 4 cash flow quadrants, which I think is very important for all of us to recognize. One of them is E, which stands for employee, which most of us are from time to time. Another is B, that's business owner, okay? Many of us are, some of us are. Another is S for self-employed, right? Guy cutting the grass, whatever you're doing. And the last quadrant is I for the investor, okay? And these are the ways that we generate cash, But some ways, I think for most people in our community and in most communities, we stay in that E category, the employee category, and there's no real good, large amounts of money coming in from that. As long as you're an employee, you're making the business owner wealthy, okay? And that's simply the reality. So we need to find a way to start a business. Find some way to be. It's very important. It doesn't have to be a big business. Man, we just have to find ways to generate income. For the investment, I have a rental property. How do I get a rental property? I'm telling you, man. Always be a learner. Okay, I've been a mailman now 30 years. This year's going to be 30 years. I'm always listening to stuff. If you would have seen me out on the route, but not just music. I'm listening to audiobooks. I've done like over 300 audiobooks. And there was one particular month that it was like a slow month. I was bored with my own audio programs, and so I went looking for something else, and there was a special going on, buy 3 for the price of 1. And I think they were just audiobooks that weren't selling, so they were putting them out there, at a real cheap rate. And so I got one was like Adam Smith, one on economics, another was on a couple of philosophers, and another one was how to buy bank-owned properties. And I just put them on the burner. I didn't listen to them. I just bought them because they were there, 3 for the price of 1. But about a month later, I'm walking around. It's a beautiful Saturday, and I'm just bored, and I want to listen to something different. So I tried that, how to buy bank-owned properties, just for the heck of it. It was very interesting. And so Monday came around, I decided to listen to it again. Within 30 days, I owned my first bank-owned property. Ta-da. But how did I do it? I did something that they tell you don't do. All the experts, or all the people claiming to be experts, tell you not to do. I needed $29,000. I took it out of my 401k. And because the book said that in order to get a bank-owned property, first you need to find a realtor that deals in bank-owned properties specifically. And I knew one, friend of the family's. But it also said if you're going to buy a bank-owned property, when you locate one, you have to have the money in hand. And that kind of negates most of us, because who's walking around with $30,000 or $20,000 or whatever it is? And so it said contact a realtor, and so I contacted this realtor, and she said, what's the price range? So I gave her a price range, anything from like $18,000 to $25,000, okay? And she printed out me this whole list, and I went around looking at all these particular properties that had been repossessed. And I finally found one. But again, I had the money. It was like $26,000, and I had the money. I'd taken out of the 401k, which is what everybody says don't do. But it was for an investment. 401k is an investment. What I see is that investment, 401k versus whatever else you're going to invest in, it's like maybe the difference between water and ice and steam. It's all the same stuff, so it's just in a different form. And so I wanted to buy that property, and I'm following what this book is saying, so I had the money in hand, found the property, said I wanted it, showed him I had the money. Man, within a week it was mine. And then I was like 20, then I was able to take like $4,000 or $5,000 from that and pay contractors to fix it up, who happened to be related to the realtor, so it was perfect because I could trust them. And I've had that property for, I don't know, maybe 10 years now or so. And the money that I'm generating, I'm getting about $1,200 a month for that property. $1,200 a month in 5 years is like $72,000. I like the 401k would have generated that kind of cash, okay? And what you should do is, so I'm an investor. So now I'm an employee, so I'm E on that quadrant, the 4 quadrants of cash flow. I'm an employee, and I'm also an investor, okay? I also have a 401k, so I'm an investor as well. Actually, we're business owners because we own that business. So, and as far as self-employed, let me tell you what I did recently. This is good. Okay, so I've been writing these books, right? I said I wrote 23 books. So, and so I've been doing this now for about, I don't know, about 4 years or 5 years, something like that. But just to share how my worldview expanded from my education, I would have never written any books if I had not had that education. And so I got used to writing the books. I mean, it was a process. And then I know how to publish them with Amazon Kindle. All this is free. There's no charge. It takes time, okay, but there's no charge. And so I'm an expert. I can publish a book in like 7 minutes because now I know how to do it. Now it takes a little bit longer to write a book and then proof it and make sure your grammar's right and all that good stuff, but I know how to do that now. So this is just a long story to make just make the point, okay, about how to create, how being self-employed. What I did was I decided when I turned 65. I don't know if you recall in some of my programs since then, I had this big beard. I had determined that I was going to grow this beard until I figured out the next phase, what my next phase of my life was going to be. And I set a time limit on April 15th. That was my journey, And I shared that on the program. But it was like in February, it was like one night I had the idea. I knew what I was going to do. I was going to create some books. I was going to create like 13 or 15 or so paperback books, and from that I was going to have like 100 ebooks. That was my goal. And then I was going to go ahead and publish it all because I know how to publish. The writing is the tedious part, and that's what I did. Because I see it, when I just would put one book at a time, or one book here, one book there, I could sell like 50 books, but that's about it. But it's the numbers game. It's like anything in business or anything in marketing, it's the numbers game. That's why you get all those flyers. I work for the post office, right? That's why when you get all those flyers in the mail, and some of them you just want to throw away, the people that send those out, those businesses, they don't care that you throw them away, because they know they send a flyer to everybody in the entire neighborhood, and the amount of people that are going to respond is going to be more than enough to satisfy what they need to happen, their products to be bought. It's the numbers game. And so putting all those paperbacks and ebooks out there, all related to each other, but different topics, different subjects and all, to create a passive income. But in a sense, I don't know if I want to call that an investment. It's an investment, but as well, it's like my personal business. Because I'm creating ebooks, and I'm still doing it. I got those paperback books just to be the foundation, but now I'm just creating a whole bunch of ebooks. Put 100 ebooks out there. And so what I'm suggesting then by telling you all this is you need to find a way to take yourself simply out of the employee quadrant from that cash flow, because all you're doing is creating income for somebody else's business. You need to have a business. You need to be an investor. You need to be self-employed. Do all these things. Have money coming in from different directions. Now, there's nothing wrong with being an employee. Let me tell you, but see, this is about that holistic living again, okay? Now, I'm in pretty good health. For a man who's about to be 66 this year in about 5 months. I try to eat right. I try to exercise. I try to keep myself together. And the reason is because I have a pretty good job. Working for the government, working for the post office, 30 years, okay? And so I'm keeping myself healthy. A lot of people would be ready to retire right now. I'm not. I'm feeling good. I'm enjoying getting up in the morning. I have a process of food that I eat and exercise. I go to work. I get to talk to people, interact. It's a slight bit of exercise, but not a whole bunch. And I get a good paycheck. I get my medical. I get to continue contributing to my 401k. So in a sense, I'm an asset that is generating revenue, that is generating income, generating a cash flow. And so I am I'm investing into the asset by keeping myself healthy, by keeping myself smooth and running and in good condition, in good shape, so I can keep producing this cash flow. So it's okay to be an employee, but you have to take control. Take care of yourself. That's part of that holistic living. If you're taking care of yourself, you can last a lot longer. People are saying, when are you going to retire? You're too old to be working. You shouldn't be retiring. I'm like, what for? I'm making all this money. Why would I be retiring? And if you look back historically, people retired because they couldn't do the job anymore. Because they got to a certain age and they're probably not healthy, not in shape, and they had to stop. And retirement was a good thing because they got to collect money and not have to go onto the street like they would have 150 and 200 years ago, right? But they retired because they had to. I don't have to. And I'm able to do all these things at the same time. So I've created cash flow from different areas. Now, I'm not rich. I expect to be one day. But because I'm fortunate. Because I'm fortunate that I have a good job, that I have a wife, that she's educated, she's making money. We're all doing this. But what I'm suggesting today is just like with my education. Okay? It's too late for me to go to a new up-and-coming company and say, I want to be your accountant, or I want to work in your marketing program or something like that, because I waited so long. So although it's wonderful that I got this education and my worldview was expanded and I've had some ideas that have paid off as a result of it, I am not near what I could have been had I done this early in life, like right after high school, right? But what I can do is impart this insight into my children, okay? So they don't have to wait as long as I did. So they can hit the ground running and make this happen and be multi whatever millionaires by the time they're my age. So this is part of the reason why I'm sharing this with you, is it may be too late for you to be all that you could have been. But it's not too late for your children. But for your children to really get it, you're going to have to be the example in front of them. I'm telling you, we got to stop smoking that weed. We got to stop drinking that. I know I'm getting in your business. I should be minding my own business, right? This is what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, even as black folks, because this is my urban program, that we have a lot of issues going on in this nation still. It hasn't been resolved yet. But you know, the folks that got us here in this mess are not going to be the folks that are going to get you out of this mess. You're going to have to get yourself out of it. You're going to have to get your kids out of it. And basically what I'm saying, it's so easy for us to complain about a system. It's just not fair. You know, the racism, the institution of racism, all this stuff we can point our fingers at. But the reality, if you're getting high on anything, and if you're not healthy, and you're not exercising, you're not eating healthy, you're not taking advantage of educational opportunities that are out there, then you really don't deserve it to be any better. Because you're not showing a commitment to better yourself, to better your life. And so that's just what I'm sharing with you today. And this it affects you because you're not really going to progress, because you're blowing money that could have been investment money. Man, think about this, and I think about this. All the money that I spent partying throughout my life, and I stopped when I was 28. But man, if I had had all that money that I invested in the buzz, alcohol, going out, and all that stuff, I would have been able to take that money and purchase a rental property, without a doubt. And that's what we're doing. And now we're living lives. Some of us don't even have homes. We're renting. And if you're renting a house that's, say, like $1,200 or $1,500 a month, which I understand is the going rate now. Say you got a house, you're paying $1,500 a month. So you're working like 2 jobs, you're scraping, but you're making it so you can pay your rent for every month. In 5 years, you'll have paid $90,000. That's $1,500 a month times 5 years. $90,000. Imagine if that was investment income. Imagine what you could have done with that. You could have been paying off your own house with that kind of money. All I'm saying is we're blowing this money because of situations and lifestyles that we've had. We make poor decisions. And this may be the lot in your life, you know. But it doesn't have to be the lot in the lives of your children and your grandchildren. So begin to share that with them, man. And there's a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki. Just buy it. Give it. They have one for kids, Rich Dad, Poor Dad for teens. Buy that. Just give it to your kids, man. Let them read it, or read it to them. Read it with them. Because you just give them that book, they're not going to read it. For real. This is the best. So this is my holistic message. I guess continuation from all my holistic messages. The last part are your finances. How to get out of the rat race. Why are we so jacked? You cannot simply be some other business's employee and expect that you're going to be successful in life. I'm telling you. And if you're struggling now with the money you're making, how much more are you going to be struggling when you retire? Doesn't have to be that way. But anyway, I do want to thank you once again. You know, I have a website that is sort of a motivational website. It's called Another Perspective, martinjarvis.com. You'll see at the end of this program, there'll be the website at the bottom there. Just click on it. And I have a bunch of blog things that I've written, and even blog videos that you might find motivating, okay? But anyway, I do want to thank you for joining me and listening, and I want to invite you to listen again. Take care. Bye.